I just want to have some fun, and I hope that you guys enjoy as we go through the political theater with 3 blue state sanctuary city/state governors coming before Congress and having to answer for the border and some other things. We're going to go through them. It's some fun stuff. I'm going to be commenting.
And here we go.
The Biden-Harris administration secured the border. You mentioned it's the federal government's role to secure the border to protect Americans from illegals entering the country, I guess. Do you think they did a good job of that?
I think the border has been broken for a very long time through many administrations. It's one of the
Dodging the question.
reasons why Vice President Harris was advocating so strongly for the bipartisan bill.
Did she mention her role as the border czar any when you all were out campaigning? Or?
Not that I can recall, other than that we talked about the need to pass the bipartisan
People don't normally talk about their atrocious failures.
border legislation that would have done many of the things that, as a governor, I know would have made our jobs easier.
But President Trump secured the border without any legislation. I mean, that was kind of a myth that was in the media and a Democrat talking point that we needed legislation to secure the border. The border's secure.
Everything's fixed?
That's step one.
Everything's fixed. Are you denying the fact that it's 99% better than what it was? Everything's fixed. You're going to try to throw shade and doubt at that statement?
2 is to deport the criminal illegals, and that's where we're facing obstruction in your all state. Ms. Stefanik from New York.
Thank you. Governor
Ew,
Hochul,
she's
on your
ugly.
first day in office, you signed Executive Order 1. Is that correct?
How much Botox do you think that woman has? Like Botox, fillers. She just looks so fake. That was just my instant reaction when I saw her. She just looks totally, totally fake. That's your governor in New York plumping herself up with fillers, and probably on your taxpayer dime too. What a witch. Ooh, yuck.
I believe it is.
And you extended this executive order not once, not twice, but 3 times, most recently January 16th of this year. Is that correct?
If that's what your facts show, I signed countless executive orders.
I would assume you'd know it's
laws.
Executive Order 1. And this is a continuation of your predecessor's sanctuary state policies, correct? Is included in that.
I want to be sure we are defining sanctuary state properly.
I'll define it for you. It is the policy of the state that state officers or employees shall not disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement. It goes on to say, law enforcement officers may not use resources, equipment, or personnel for the purpose of detecting and apprehending any individual suspected or wanted for violating a civil immigration office. Law enforcement officers have no authority in the state of New York to take any policy action solely because the person is an undocumented alien. That's a quote in your executive orders that you extended. Now, do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to get back to the first part.
No,
of
I'm
your
asking a question. Do you know who
Well,
Sakir Akan is?
I want to make sure you understand that this simply says that we will cooperate with ICE.
No, it does not say that. I read what it
We will
says, and let me talk to you about the results. Do you know who Sakir Akan is? You should, as the governor of New York State. Do you know?
Refresh my recollection.
He was an illegal.
My brain is negatively affected by Botox, thus my memory is becoming Joe Biden's.
Illegal migrant in New York. And do you know what crime he committed in addition to being here illegally?
No, I do not.
You do not. This was widely reported. He found a 15-year-old girl, threatened her with a metal pole, told her to get into the back seat of his car. He took her clothes off, and he violently raped her in Albany, New York. Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Khalil is?
I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases, whether they're
These are high-profile cases.
Yes.
New Yorkers know about them, and you don't. So let's talk about Sebastian Zapita Khalil. Do you know who that is?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Well,
course
this is
not.
an illegal migrant in New York because of your sanctuary state policies. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you. He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burned her alive.
Thank you for allowing these illegal aliens into our country and then doing everything you can to not deport them after they've been in police custody. I really want to thank the Hochuls, the Newsoms, the Waltzes for this.
This is in Hochul's, New York.
In
And
case
as
you
I'm
don't
sure
know, I
you
was
are
being
aware, and I'll
sarcastic.
remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal but that was rejected by New York officials due to
So they're to blame.
sanctuary
They
state
are.
laws. Now, do you know who Raymond Rojas Basilio is?
I just want to say this. These crimes are horrific.
And they're your
Because
fault,
of your,
bitch.
because of
And I
your
would say
sanctuary state policies.
In all
You see, I could never be a congressman because I would respond in kind and then be thrown summarily out of the House of Representatives.
of these cases, we would work with ICE to remove
You did
them.
not in this case. They are
If they need
walking
our
on the
assistance.
streets because of your policies and your executive order that you signed 3 times. Now, Raymond Rojas Basilio, do you know who that is?
I'm telling you this. I will
You don't know
explain
who
you
it
the
is.
policies of New York. We cooperate with, I know you're just
You do
trying
not,
to.
you do not. Specifically, ICE was told not to detain this individual, and he burned a woman alive on the New York subways in Kathy Hochul's New York. So I will keep on going. What about Raymond Rojas Basilio? Do you know who that is?
I'm going to tell you our overall policy, which will address all this.
I'll tell
We
you
do
who
not-
that is. He is an illegal who molested an 11-year-old in our state because, again, of your sanctuary state policies. This illegal was shielded from federal immigration enforcement and able to commit this heinous crime. And what about Wilson Castillo Diaz? Do you know who that
I'm
is?
telling you this. We do cooperate fully with ICE in criminal
No, you
prosecution.
don't.
Our sanctuary
You're not advocating for
regulations
these victims.
only deal
This
with
is a
civil
5-year-old who
enforcement.
was raped
Civil
on Long
enforcement.
Island in Nassau County. You are not advocating on behalf of these victims. You are shielding illegals. Even in your opening statement,
That is
you
not true.
prioritize putting illegals first.
That is not
Rapes
true.
of young girls, beatings of NYPD cops by
Remember when those Venezuelans beat up NYPD cops and they were immediately let out of court and then fled to California? And it was only when there was public uproar that they tried to hunt them down. That's Kathy Hochul's New York. That's Alvin Bragg. Those are the progressive policies that are turning these places into absolute shitholes.
illegals who are here under Kathy Hochul's failed policies, burning New Yorkers alive. This is Kathy Hochul's New York. It's one of the many reasons why you're hemorrhaging.
Note the framing that she continually, Elise Stefanik is the one questioning her, and she's continually framing it as Kathy Hochul's New York. It's very effective, and when you do it with repetition, then it gets ingrained into the watcher's mind. Everybody does this, but just to give you that added note.
Support from hardworking New York
These are
families.
horrific crimes and they're
They're
heartbreaking.
horrific crimes that are committed on your watch. You signed this executive order on your first day in office. You signed it again and again this January. We deserve a governor who stands up for law-abiding New Yorkers, doesn't put illegals first, but actually puts New Yorkers first. I appreciate
Rather than
the
going
chairman's-
after the viral moment, I suggest you
No,
look
no,
at the
no.
facts.
I'm standing up for New Yorkers.
No.
Rather than addressing the illegals in New York, you are prioritizing your far-left sanctuary state policies, which you put in place with executive orders.
You said earlier that the ICE agents under the orders of President Trump are a modern-day Gestapo. Do you realize how disgusting a phrase that is, considering the history of Nazi Germany? Would you like to recant that statement?
What I said, Congressman, and I have a long history of supporting law enforcement, I said President Trump was using them as his modern-day Gestapo, not identifying who you are, coming up in unmarked vans, taking people
So
away
you're not
and giving...
apologizing.
Is it the responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here? Isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that
Except?
the Constitution is not an inconvenience. I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy. It's not an either or.
Nobody
You
said
can
an
do your job
inconvenience.
and
You have a
practice due process.
responsibility to deport illegal aliens. And the
Through due
president is
process.
going through that process right now.
Through due process, and the process that you gunk up with your sanctuary policies and the fact that you will not remand these people once caught over to ICE. Yes, and then you call him Gestapo and you go about your business and try to redefine it ever so slightly so that you can get away with it. No, you're just a scumbag, Waltz.
And let's be very clear, the previous administration, they abused every process there is under border laws to allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally. And this is a burden on all Americans. And so the president is doing his job. So it is sick to refer to Americans who are ICE agents as Gestapo. Governor, you're wrong. You need to apologize to these agents. They're doing their
won't.
jobs. They are Americans. They serve this country with honor and decency and respect.
Ask him to apologize. Will you apologize? Yes or no? And then he's going to break off into some little rant, and you're going to have to come back and waste your time. So maybe that's not the best thing to do, but that's what I would attempt.
Do not diminish their work simply because you tried to make a cheap point that you could tweet. I yield back.
The president of the United States benefited financially.
Here is Rashida Tlaib, the crazy Hamas-supporting Michigan representative from the state of Michigan. Dearborn, I believe.
Financially and personally by having a broken immigration system that keeps our immigrant neighbors in a broken system.
They're not immigrants, they're illegal aliens. Immigrant is somebody who's moved to the country successfully and is there illegally. They are trying to conflate the two, and it's completely intentional.
That doesn't allow them to come out of the shadows. Why? Because that's cheap labor.
They're illegal.
Let's be honest. They're arresting dishwashers, people at Home Depot at work, and their donors benefit. You know it. The restaurant industry benefit. They know exactly what they're doing. If they even wanted to fix this immigration system, they'd go to the people that employ them. And we know it. Now, detention centers. Guess who's going to benefit from private detention centers and holding our immigrant neighbors?
Guess who benefits from letting all the illegals in? Yeah, people that have restaurants that want cheap labor, but especially Democrats that want to pad the numbers in the census so that they get more electoral votes for their state as well as more congressional representatives. It's cheating. Why is it that when Barack Obama called himself the deporter-in-chief, there weren't raising a ruckus about his actions? But of course they are under Donald Trump because it's all Trump derangement syndrome.
They're donors. So shame on us in bringing these governors here when we know exactly what is happening here. This is all for profit, all for cruelty, and fear and division.
Yes, all for cruelty. The fact that we've seen so many illegal aliens just pouring over our border and that we're using our tax dollars to support them. Yes, it's all because of cruelty. That's the way that she's framing it. I really hope that she falls out of a truck.
Fix our economic system in our country. People are starving. People can't afford basic needs. And you're...
Bitch, people are starving. America has a fat problem. The poorest are the fattest. You want to try to tell me that Americans are starving as the fat spills over their shorts and over their and under their shirts? Yeah, good luck with that.
Our loved ones away from us because you don't have the courage to fix our broken immigration system. It's been inhumane for decades.
You broke it.
Shame on us, both Democrats and Republicans, for not doing what's right in this chamber and doing what is right for the American people and making sure we're not separating families. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield.
Are you calling for ICE agents to be brought to a tribunal under the threat of death by comparing them to the Gestapo?
Everyone is afforded due process.
What's that answer?
What don't you understand about yes or no? Like, what can't you comprehend about yes or no question?
Well, he's a very stupid person, so he has a hard time understanding yes or no. Truly, I mean that. He is actually below average IQ. As he said in the vice presidential debate, I'm kind of a knucklehead. I don't know how the hell he got elected governor. Oh, right, it's Minnesota. That's why. These crazy blue cult, blue anon idiots elected one of their own.
Do you still want to abolish ICE? Do you still want to abolish ICE? Yes or no?
I said I wanted to abolish ICE.
Didn't you march in a rally calling for ICE's abolishment?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Well, according to widespread media reports, you did.
And the media is always correct.
How do you rate Kamala Harris's job as border czar? I want a number between 1 and 10. How was she as border czar?
I wouldn't have a way to measure that. I was not in the administration.
Weren't you her running mate for vice president?
As in the campaign.
And you can't rate her role as border czar on a scale
Let me give you a hint. It's not 1 to 10. It's in the negative numbers.
of 1 to 10. Was she great at 10 or was she a 1? Terrible.
I think her proposal that she put forward to make sure we had the bipartisan immigration.
It wasn't bipartisan. Did you ever personally speak with Kamala about Joe Biden's cognitive collapse?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Liar.
Not as her running mate for vice president. You never once talked to her about the president and why she was nominated instead of him.
No, not that I can recall.
Liar.
What kind of
Absolutely a
operation were
liar.
you guys running over there?
I was more concerned with Donald Trump's cognitive.
Thank God he's...
Things that we
It's always about Donald Trump. You literally had Joe Biden falling downstairs, unable to complete a sentence. People, in the administration, they absolutely knew he had cancer. And this moron is bringing up Donald Trump, deflecting to Donald Trump, who is sharp and out there giving 2-hour comedic stand-up sessions. What a dolt this guy is. Jeez.
He's president and J.D. Vance is vice president and not you. Have you ever served in a combat zone, Governor?
I have not, Congresswoman.
Okay.
Because he claimed that he did. Stolen valor is what it was called. That's why she's asking that.
Are you still friends with school shooters?
I have never been a friend with a school shooter.
Didn't you say?
Yeah, he did say that during the vice presidential debate. Yeah, because he's stupid and he does not have a good way with words.
You were friends with school shooters on the debate stage?
Oh, Congresswoman.
Yeah.
I think that's very evident. As a teacher and a parent.
My mom was a teacher. I'm a high school dropout. We can talk about that later. Is bullying okay?
Is bullying okay as a teacher?
Is bullying okay? Yes or no? Is it okay to bully somebody?
I think
yes
there's
or
a
no?
time to push back at a bully. So yes, I do think there's a time.
So you think it's okay to bully others?
I think it's okay to bully the bully at times.
Well, you're showing that the Democrat Party is the party of violence. Were you at Tiananmen Square?
Because he claimed that he was during the revolution that was attempted against the Chinese government, or shortly thereafter. That was his claim.
Have I been to Tiananmen Square? I have.
Were you at Tiananmen Square?
Indignation.
I have been at Tiananmen Square.
When were you there?
Oh, as I recall, January of 1990.
Okay. What is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Of course not.
What do you want me to say? This is.
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence, and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Well, obviously, it was good old Timmy Waltz that took the brunt end of that deal. Kathy Hochul, with all her fillers, lip gloss, and injections, Botox, and everything else that she got. These people are not serious people. They are pathetic. Tim Waltz especially so. What a low IQ moron knucklehead, as he referred to himself. You know, he is the same person that appointed that the shooter of 2 Minnesota state representatives just the other day as a political appointee. So thank God that this frickin' moron didn't get elected. I hope that you guys enjoyed the political theater that was there. I thought Nancy Mace was great. I wish that somebody would really lay into Tim Waltz. And you can tell why I will never be a congressman, because I would just be coming out and stating everything that I just did here. Peace. Thumb up the video. Enjoy and have a great day, guys. Bye.